Hey everyone, and welcome back, Simon Bennett, to Nick News. I'm really excited to finally can talk about Power Ranger Cosmic Fury. For me, Power Ranger Cosmic Fury was much more than I expected, and I don't know where to start, how to start. This series was what Power Ranger needed so much, a story worthy of being the end of an era. So it's time to talk about Cosmic Fury.
Well, thank you for that. Don't know what to say. It does feel different to Power Rangers that's gone before. It's
Mm.
one story across
One
10
story, yeah.
episodes. It's not like Monster of the Week or Moral of the Day or This
It's
is
a
a
long
Boom
movie.
Focus. It's a long movie split into 10 episodes.
Yeah.
It was so nice to be able to relax all those rules that had informed the show previously, and to do something where the story was strong and was driving everything. And we took most of the characters in new directions as well, because they'd finished their story arcs at the end of Dino Fury. So the challenge was, how do we kick them off and send them in new directions in a way that'll keep the audience hooked and give us lots of story material? And it worked, I think.
um I want to ask you first this, because we learned that 22 or maybe 20 episodes were written at the beginning. Has anything been removed that you will have loved for us to see in the reduction of these episodes?
We did have to take quite a lot out when we found out that we were only making 10. We'd
Mhm.
written the stories for 20 episodes. The main thing that I miss is we did more stories around Izzy and Fern's relationship.
Okay.
Um, some aspects of it are still there, which is about Izzy not wanting Fern to put herself in harm's way and being concerned for her safety, and
Mhm.
Fern wanting adventures and wanting to not feel so protected by Izzy. That's still there. But in the original version, we actually had them breaking up as a couple,
Okay.
in an environment where they were having to live closely with a whole bunch of friends. And
Mhm.
what happens when a couple breaks up but you can't get away from each other and you're still living in the same house, that kind of situation. They did reconcile their differences, so they were back together by the end of the season, because
Mhm.
we didn't want it to be totally negative. But
Yeah, no, okay, yeah, yeah.
the pressure we put those characters under was much stronger, and there was a
But that
stronger
kind of
story involving them.
things happen in real life.
Exactly. And so we had to kind of make choices about what our priorities were, and Zato's pathway was definitely a priority,
Yeah.
because we knew where we wanted to end the season, and so you have to do that one justice. Um, Amelia finding herself leader as Red Ranger, there was more originally in the 20 episode season about that. We had to cut back on that,
Mhm.
um, and the same with Harvey's story in terms of learning to live with a
With the arm.
disability.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot more to that story in the original version. So, um, yeah, we managed to do most of what we wanted to do, but we couldn't go as deep as we wanted to go when the number of episodes was reduced. I think that would be the best explanation.
Mhm. In some way or another, we fans feel that we have been heard a series with a lot of development, without filler scenes, and something as epic as this season. What suggestions were taken into account when making decisions?
Well, you've named several of them, but I tend to agree with the fans' comments in those areas. Like I've said elsewhere, that I do listen in on what people are saying about the show.
Mhm.
And when I agree with someone's criticism or comment, I might try and take it on board. Obviously, if the comment is made after we've finished anything, then it's a bit late to do anything about that. But all the way through um, Ninja Steel and Beast Morphers, I was, frequenting Ranger Board and just clocking what the fan reaction to the show was, and started to incorporate changes in Dino Fury, but felt that we could go much further with Cosmic Fury, because the traditional story structure, which was very much dependent on the Sentai footage, was no longer the case. And also we were being encouraged by Hasbro to change up the way we told the stories, and have more serial elements, have more character development, have more threads. And the other thing was that because all the ground fights were original, we weren't using any Super Sentai footage, but we didn't have a bigger budget or any more time to shoot. We actually had we couldn't do as much in terms of fight content. So everything we did do had to count, had to be really good, had to be significant. But it also meant there was more room within the episodes for drama scenes and character development. And also not having the comedy duo scenes meant that, again, there was more room for drama and character development, which is my bread and butter. I love that stuff, and the cast was certainly up to the challenge, and as were the directors. So that was a significant change.
I love how everything is perfectly explained and how everything managed to have it a right development, from Amelia's making decisions little by little to becoming a leader, or Saito's arc and Ion's sadness. I think all that managed to move me a lot. And when making decisions, are several more stories options considered that is other stories arc for each character?
Sorry, what was the question again?
The question is, by the time to take to making some decisions about the story arcs of the different characters, did you consider another options of arcs, another stories?
No, the first thing we do before we start writing the episodes is work out what the character arcs are across the season. And it was based on what we already knew about the characters from Dino Fury, what kind of stories we wanted to tell, what was there that was new to explore about each of those characters, what risks we could take, like what things actually appealed to us, me and Becca and Alwyn, that hadn't been done before. And so those are the kind of things. But you start from character and story arcs, and then you start weaving them together and structuring the episodes. That's the next thing. There's nothing that we didn't really change our mind or reject anything. Getting Harvey and his arm past the various gatekeepers was a challenge, because it was a pretty extreme thing to do in Power Rangers. And it had to be handled in a way that wasn't bloody or grotesque. But again, we had advice from various disability advisory groups about how we should and shouldn't depict it, and depict people's reactions to his disability and how he copes with the disability. To my mind, I'd like to have gone deeper into that, but the episode number partly, but also the fact it's a kid's show, and there was a lot of stuff that we couldn't do or say, limited what we were able to do in that case.
I can't explain to you the way I cried when Ion met Sordon. When I heard "May the Power Protect You," I understood it was Sordon. I had to pause the episode and cry. And it was such a subtle way to make it appear that I still can't believe it. But I need to ask you this. Has there been any consideration of bringing Sordon in another way than this? And if it's this, so why did they give up on that idea?
If you're thinking of Once and Always and Billy's search for Zordon in that, Cosmic Fury was written first. So, and our instruction from Hasbro was that Once and Always had to be standalone and shouldn't feed into Cosmic Fury. Different audiences, I guess. And they didn't want any serialized threads or continuity. So we had to make Once and Always with as little continuity as possible. But we knew, having already done Cosmic Fury, that Billy would still be thinking about Zordon, because Cosmic Fury happens after Once and Always, and he hasn't let that idea go. But we also didn't want to bring back Zordon in his tube, and it would feel that his sacrifice had been in vain, or not meant as much as it did to everyone. And so we really wanted to hint that he's still out there somewhere, rather than bring him back in all his glory. And in fact, we leave Cosmic Fury with Billy just having learnt about May the Power Protect You, thanks to Harvey's song, and going, this means he could still be out there somewhere. And we know, even though the show is not going to go there, that Billy's not going to let go of that quest, and he may find something out. I'm really pleased that you mentioned that was when you realized that he was Zordon. I wasn't sure if the audiences would click then, or if they would click during the concert at the end when Billy learns from who did he learn it from?
When Billy and Ion talk with Billy.
Ion tells Billy that Harvey got it from him because he met this entity in the void. I got to direct those scenes in the White Room, and Russell did such a beautiful job in terms of how subtly he played that moment of, there was, I seem to remember something I used to say in times of need, may the power protect you. And my hope was always that at least the adult fans would cheer and cry at that point. So thank you. It's working.
I cry a lot at that part. And okay. I love how they handled the inclusion in this season, and I'm not talking about Easy and Fair. I love them, but for Javi arms and also for Muku's body, it was so subtle and direct that I found very beautiful. How did you decide on this Javi story arc? And the truth is, I must say that many dubbed that everything will be shown so explicitly. And yet they have given us a blow of reality that was perfect, because you have to see someone without his arm.
For me and Becca and Alwyn, it's really about representing a world that is diverse in the way that the real world is. And for people who might be watching Power Rangers who might have a disability, watching the show and thinking, yeah, that's me. I can be one of these people. I can be a Power Ranger too. So you mentioned his infern. You mentioned Harvey's disability. What was the other thing you mentioned?
Oh, sorry, what? Mucus
what was the third thing? Yeah, that was deliberate. I mean, Mucus feeling really unhappy in a body that wasn't hers, and Zato recognizing that and transforming her back into the
magic.
Yeah, I mean, we were thinking of transgender people when we wrote that, no doubt about it. People who are not comfortable in their body until they actually are able to achieve the form where they feel they can be themselves. Obviously, in a kids show, we would never be explicit, but that was the subtext for what we were doing. And again, it was we've got one more shot at this, guys, because I think Becca, Alwyn, and I knew that this was probably the last hurrah for us anyway in terms of Power Rangers.
It was really nice because it was just a little moment, but the moment is perfect and the dialogues are perfect. So it was really
good. He's got a line, something like no one should have to live in a body that they don't feel comfortable in, something like that. And I believe strongly in inclusivity and diversity and celebrating humanity in all its shapes and forms. And I know that there's been a lot of hate actually online. A lot of people I've blocked for me pushing my so-called woke agenda. It's not really having an agenda, and it's not being woke. It's about appreciating people, in every shape and form. People are people.
I really thought the suites were great, and I love that there are original costumes. What took me by surprise and really excited me were the Dark Oli suit and the Master Zed costumes. Master Zed is crazy. I didn't expect it at all, and it left me very amazed. How were these suites designed?
Well, Tracy Collins, who is our production designer, designed that Master Zed suit. And it was fabricated by Toei, who also made the Lord Zed suit, which was a reuse of the suit that we had built for Dino Fury. I've got lots of behind-the-scenes photos that I'm not going to post until the show's actually dropped, of the various suits and designs and things. But I think the Master Z suit is exceptional. It's really scary and it's huge. It's very cool. The Dark Ranger suit was in storage. Toby sent it out to us. I know there's controversy about the mask edging of the visor being blue, not red. That was the costume we were sent, and Toei didn't really want us to repaint it when we mentioned the color discrepancy. And the red edging, I don't believe, is canon in the television show. I think it's something that comes from the comics. So given that they're separate universes as far as we're concerned, we don't read the comics. I think we're okay with it, but I know that there's a certain faction that will get outraged about the smallest things. There has to be something to be upset about.
I really love Bagilia's plot twist. I didn't expect her and Scrozzle to betray Lorced, and not to mention the reverse shockwave to eradicate the good guys from the universe. It was something tremendous. How did this original villain come about? Bagillionaire.
Bajillionaire and Squillionaire. We wanted a mother and daughter combo. We wanted villains to represent gross billionaire capitalism at its worst, I guess. And we're also conscious of the gender balance in the show, like wanting as much of a equal male-female balance as we can achieve. And we applied that with Dino Fury, but obviously the Ranger team wasn't fully equal, but we achieved it in Cosmic Fury. And given that we had Lord Zed and Scrozzle and various other male villains, we wanted a female villain pairing with Squillia and Bagilia. In terms of her being squiddy, it was just a random idea that came out of brainstorming. Let's give her tentacles and make her a squid related alien. And we liked the squid logo for her corporation. Squid Ink.
It's really cool.
Ekronel and love puns, and Squillionaire and Bajillionaire. And once we had those characters, it just became second nature. The suits were designed by Tracy Collins, and again were made by Toei in Japan. She sends very detailed 3D model drawings with Pantone color references for everything. But yeah, they're great costumes. I wish, in a more expensive production with more time and money, all those tentacles would be CG animated, rather than rubber, which would be fantastic.
There may be people who criticize that the final battle with Master Zed was more verbal battle, or that they defeat him with the power of love. In fact, that happened to me when I saw it, but then I reflect and I say to myself, in this 10 episode, the Ranger did not have a break. They spent their time fighting battle after battle, and it seems perfect to me that they had a talk and made him decide through the reason. And furthermore, Sato believes that putting him together with Rita and making him believe that he won little by little will make him maybe good again. So how was the decision made to do this scene inside the tube and not a hand-to-hand battle?
Well, it's partly production necessity because we just didn't have the time to shoot a huge battle, but also it was more a battle of wills. And we liked the idea that the big bad turned out to be Bagilia, who got the better of Zed by capturing him in the tube. So once Zed was in the tube, he was disempowered. And it then became whether he would agree to Zato's plan and step down from that powerful position or not. So it became a drama scene rather than an action scene. But the climactic battle was really the one in space, with the various Megazords coming to the rescue as the Rangers are trying to flee through Bagilia's space forces. I actually think that Master Z would have been too strong for the Ranger team to have won, to have overcome him. It was only because in the tube dimension his powers didn't work that they were able to reason with him and get him to agree to the solution. And being trapped for eternity with Rita Repulsa is it's a hell of sorts.
Yeah. I can't help but mention the ending. While Javi sings and the Rangers are celebrating, Billy is uneasy and wants to get Zordon back. And I know that this era of Power Rangers, it's over, but have they left that ending open with Billy in case Hasbro at some point decides to pick up this story? I'm going to pray to all the gods from the old universe. So
that wasn't the
one day that
intention.
happened.
That wasn't the plan.
Okay.
That was not the plan. The plan at the end of Dino Fury was very much to leave the story open-ended, so that hopefully the powers that be would be encouraged to accept a sequel because of the huge cliffhanger. This was not intended to be a cliffhanger ending. It was intended to be a happy resolution ending with everyone moving on into their lives together. But Billy's quest is unresolved. So he learns something in that final scene, which is about who Ion met in the white space and the fact that Zordon may still be alive somewhere in the grid. So it does give Billy a new direction. He doesn't know these Rangers particularly well. He's not going to be leaping around dancing with them on stage. He's still quite a serious character who's got his single-minded goal. And, we know he's going to head out into space or into the grid or somehow trying to find this entity. But it was really just a true to character ending rather than a to be continued note that we were intending to finish on.
Yeah. It is the first season where 99% of footage is original. What were the biggest production and post-production challenges this season?
The biggest production challenges were time, because we were shooting a lot more original material in the same time frame. Like on average, we will shoot an episode in 3 days. So a 3-episode block is across 9 days, and to shoot all original fight footage, which because action is much more time consuming to shoot than dialogue based drama, was tough. It was tough on our action unit. I guess the other thing was it was such a short shoot compared to what we're used to. Like, we're used to shooting 44 episodes at a time across a sort of 6 to 8 month period. I think we were only in production for less than 3 months on the 10 episodes. It might only have been 2 months. So it felt like we were just getting going and then it was all over. It was kind of a little bit sad in a way, because the Ranger actors were back on their planes and we'd only just got underway. And then, of course, spending more than a year in post-production, it's a little bittersweet that we couldn't have the same amount of time and enjoyment that we'd had on previous seasons.
I really enjoyed seeing Tariq, Lani, Izzy, and Fern's parent pop up and the other characters. And above all, I enjoyed the beautiful participation that they gave them involved in the plot. But I would like to know what was happened to Santora. Why did she only appear in the final pic photo with the baby?
The actress wasn't available is the answer to that. She had to return to the States for some reason and couldn't do the shoot. She would have liked to, but it was just one of those things.
Okay.
Another interesting reveal I can give now is that the reason we made Ollie bad during the season was because while we were writing Cosmic Fury, we didn't know if Kai would be available or not. It was possible. He was the only one of the actors who wasn't able to commit. And so we had to write in such a way that if he had to stay a suit actor in a helmet the whole time, voiced by Kai from the States, then it would work that way. Fortunately for us, Kai did become available and did join the show, but we'd already written it by that stage, and we could see his face. So it was a contingency, you know. If he couldn't come to New Zealand, then Blue Ranger would have to never morph out of suit, and would keep making him evil, keeps him away from the rest of the Rangers. So he's in Zed and Scrozzle's world rather than the Ranger world.
Yeah, that's a great revelation. Secret.
So it was a solution. It was a solution.
Yeah, it was a solution to okay. At the moment that the Ranger managed to free everyone from Lord Zed's prison, we see that Javi's parents see what happened to his arm, and he said that he will give them an explanation later. Was an explanation about it filmed at in some point then removed, or because I thought Javi was going to reveal to them that I'm a Ranger, I'm a Power Ranger.
No, the reason we didn't go into that was because of the advice we were getting about how to handle depiction of disability on screen. We really didn't want, we couldn't show anyone being upset by the fact that Javi had lost an arm and what that meant. Everyone had to be encouraging, which worked in the bits that we had. Like Billy very much mentors him and helps him in the early stages. But to have had upset parents dealing with the fact that their child is now disabled, which would be the truthful reaction, I think, at least at first, we weren't able to do that. And another thing is that for Javi to tell them the whole story, which is a story that the audience already knows, is actually not good storytelling or drama. It just becomes an exposition dump of stuff that the viewers already know. So it's better that it happens off screen for both those reasons. I know it's nice to see the Garcias again, and I think that having family members, it always gives a sense of a world beyond just the Ranger team, and it makes it seem more realistic. And it's great that the characters do have families and lives beyond just the team.
What was it like to bring him back, David Jost, Billy, Mechanic, and Heckle?
It was great. I mean, I know Kelson Henderson well. We worked together for many years on Power Rangers and other shows, and he runs a very good steak restaurant in Central Auckland called Tony's. So we go to his restaurant from time to time. So Mick was like bringing back a family member, because he was part of Dino Fury, and he was a big part of Cosmic Fury, obviously, and the writers love him and the crew love him. Billy, we'd already shot Once and Always, so David Yost had been in New Zealand for a couple of months before we started filming Cosmic Fury, and he was fantastic. It was great to have someone with his gravitas and seniority and experience of the Ranger world and lore on board with us. We'd written Cosmic Fury not knowing there was going to be a Once and Always, so in a way we'd always planned for Billy to be part of Cosmic Fury, and his involvement was a big part of demonstrating what made this season special as a 30th anniversary season. And then of course Once and Always happened, and Billy was part of that along with the other returning.
So you thought you thought first to come back, Billy come back writing Cosmic Fury.
Yes.
Before Once and Always.
Yeah, we didn't know about Once and Always, so it felt when David agreed to come on board for 10 episodes of Cosmic Fury, we were so excited, because it was a coup. It still is, but the thunder had been stolen a little by the fact that he had already appeared in Once and Always, even though that was written second. So having Heckle come back, that was new for Cosmic Fury, and the writers, Becker and Alwyn, always loved the actor and loved the character and wished that we'd been able to morph him in Dino Charge. So in a way, for them, it was like finishing something that they'd always wanted to do but never been able to achieve in the past.
Yeah. How did you decide that Sato is now a master morphin?
Yeah, Morphin Master.
Morphin, sorry, so master in the Spanish is different. Yeah, morphin master.
It felt like the appropriate end of his journey to us, because he had died in Dino Fury.
Yeah.
And then he had been reborn as this kind of semi-mystical White Ranger. And he was, right through Cosmic Fury, he vanishes to start with, and they have to find him. And then he's got powers that they can't explain or understand using the Morphin Master's staff. And to us, we wanted to finish his journey in a way that was even more significant than we'd finished with him in Dino Fury. And having a Ranger transition to become a Morphin Master, we felt, and he was called Zenith Ranger, which is like the highest point. We actually felt by having him become a Morphin Master, he's become godlike by the end. It doesn't get any bigger or more powerful than he has become by the end of the season, which is partly why I was so upset by all the accusations of racism that have been flying around online about you demoted Zato and promoted a white woman to be Red Ranger. I keep saying it's not a demotion, but I can't tell them the story because that would be the biggest spoiler ever. So I've just got to wait for people to see it and see if they still think it's racist. I hope it's not, because that was never the intention.
Yeah, I have to go to therapy because of Saito. I want to ask you about the different planets we see that appear in the series. How did you create or choose the different planets?
Well, Eltar was a throwback,
Eltar,
an Easter egg. We knew it was Zordon's planet. Sorry,
Good. What were you asking about?
We were talking about the planets.
Yes. So Eltar was significant to Zordon, and I think Zed felt it was the ultimate conquest for him to base himself there. Mm-hmm. Zordnia, I think, has reference in canon, but we wanted a planet where the Rangers would find their Zords, and Zordnia was the obvious name. It happened to be the planet where the Morphin Masters had put the crystal prison that Lord Zed was captured in, and coincidentally was discovered by Bajilia's forces before the start of the season. Eridus, I think it was Eridus was the name of the desert planet. We needed we needed a desert planet because of the scuttleworms, which were a costume, a suit that we inherited from Q Ranger, and we designed and built the baby scuttleworms, which we actually called sand maggots. We called sand maggots in the early drafts of the script. We wanted them to look disgusting, like maggots with sharp teeth. There was actually a life-size model of those, which I'd have loved to have kept, but we sent back to the States afterwards. And I love those characters. So we needed a desert planet for them to be stranded on for those first few episodes. And we needed a mining planet, I can't remember the name of it, for where they discover the Dragon Zord, and they do their heavy metal gig, which was a lot of fun. I don't think that's a planet that exists in canon. I think that was a new one that was invented for the show. And of course, Earth.
I never thought that the Orange Ranger came from Solon. It was a beautiful scene. Yeah. I really love that. Okay, how it was to take that decision.
Well, we knew that every Ranger had to be connected to a dinosaur.
Yeah,
and we just thought it was a beautiful thing if Fern had developed a friendship with Solon over the time she'd been in the ship, and Solon had been looking after her, and then Fern had rescued Solon, and the act of rescuing Solon had proved herself worthy of becoming a Ranger, and it was Solon's dinosaur spirit that transferred to her that fueled her Ranger powers, and it made perfect sense on a kind of emotional level, and we're really fond of that moment too.
Okay, right. And what other secrets can you tell us about the season? Things we never thought.
I'm not sure. I think I might have given them all away. I'm sure there will be things that come to mind after we finish this chat that I should have mentioned.
Yeah.
There was nothing really. We didn't have any significant problems or anything that we had to redo. There was some new rules that there were some new people in Hasbro brand who had started with Cosmic Fury and had not really been on board with Dino Fury.
Yeah.
So we had to deal with rules like Rangers can only pilot Zords when morphed, and in the past we'd had unmorphed Rangers piloting Zords. And that just created some challenges for us. It meant that when they hadn't got their Ranger powers and were trapped on Eridus, they couldn't pilot the Zords because they couldn't morph. So we couldn't actually have a Zord fight in that episode. Just, little issues like that we had to work our way around. There were questions too about only morphed Rangers should be able to use the Ranger weapons, whereas in previous seasons we'd had unmorphed Rangers using the Ranger weapons. So we fought back on that one, because if that had been the case, Fern would not have been able to take the morpher and use the blaster aspect of it to fight the Scuttleworms, which means that she would never have morphed and never become Orange Ranger. And we just didn't have any other way of, from a story point of view, of making that happen. So yeah, that was a challenge, was actually just negotiating our way around some new people's ideas about how the show should operate, as opposed to how we felt it had always functioned in the past.
And I really liked that the Rangers combined their weapons again. That was something cool.
Well, the funny thing is, when there were the howls of protest about it not happening in Once and Always, why did they not combine their weapons? They should have done. You don't know your Power Rangers. As I actually knew that we were doing exactly that with Once and Always, but again, I couldn't say anything.
Cool. Oh, well, this season made me forget the length of the episodes. Removing the traditional structure makes you more involved in the plot, and you can enjoy something that doesn't feel like it's ending. So Cosmic Fury for me rates a 10 out of 10. For me, it was really perfect, and as a fan, I'm really, really happy about this season, and that's why I want to say thank you again and again. It was a really good season.
Thank you so much. That is lovely to hear. I'm proud of it, as I've said, and I hope that fans will really enjoy it as they and revisit it and rewatch it as they wait for whatever the future of Power Rangers might hold in store.
At this time I'm working, doing a lot of videos to publish in October. So I'm watching the episode every day because I'm trying to find details and talking about the different things. So I'm working a lot, and I'm watching the season all the time.
Great. Well, thank you. Thanks for your time today.
Okay. Well, Simon, thank you so much for the whole interview and all your time for me. I really appreciate this conversation this time, and it was really nice to meet you.
You're most welcome. The same. All the best.
Thank you so much. Well, let's finish this video. So again, thank you so much, and to all the people, please suscríbanse al canal, activen campanita y recuerden que en @nicknews.org me pueden seguir. Amigos, chao.